So, we're talking about energy hygiene. We're continuing the conversation. And in this section, I'd like to talk about the energy systems in the body and why it's something to even pay attention to. I mean, why does this happen? Well, we are energetic beings, and we have energy fields around us. I'm just trying to think about the easiest way to kind of talk about it. So I'm going to explain it in the way that I see it. Okay, a lot of people might go into a lot more detail, but I think we overanalyze things sometimes too much, and we need to just sort of like know that, especially with this fifth dimension energy, we can just like kind of go right to the point. I sort of feel like it's why go the hard way or why go the long way when you can go the short way? I'm all about that. So anyway, I'm only going to talk about the three energy systems surrounding the physical body. All right, there are others that are more outward, expansive, more spiritual, more as above, so below kind of thing. But the three energy systems I'm talking about are the ones that are going to be affected by energy hygiene the most, and they are the energy systems I work with when I do healing work. So, because that's where, like I said, the root of the problem is, it's like, let's get to it the fastest way. So we have a physical body, and then we have a just surrounding right around the outside of our body, super close, is the etheric body. Some people might call it the pranic body, or, I think there's some other names. I'm losing the idea right now. But anyway, I like to call it the etheric body. It is an energetic twin of you, if you can look at it that way. So if you see, if you see yourself as a 3D solid form, it would be like looking at you in sort of etheric way. That's why it's called the etheric body. It's all energy, but it looks just like you. So it'd be like a projection, I guess. So that surrounds the outside of your body as close as possible. It's the closest energy field. Then the field right outside of that is the emotional body, and that's where I almost feel like the emotional body is like the engine of the the energy fields, because the outside of that is the mental body. So you might understand why I think about that. I think of that one as being sort of like the core, it's like the engine that makes everything happen. So, and you might understand why I think that way when I explain to you what's going on. So you've got your physical body, your etheric body, your emotional body, and then the layer goes out to your mental body. So I've done a few recordings in the past about how energy comes in through the body, and given some scenarios. So I apologize for those who've heard it before. If you haven't, hopefully this makes sense. But this is I'll give you kind of a scenario of how it works. So if you have these energy fields surrounding your body, and you are in contact with another person who also has these surrounding their bodies, and you are, we're talking the fields go out somewhere between 3 and 9 feet generally. I think that's the average. And then you've got some can go, out 30 feet. It just depends on your frequency. And so you're having a conversation with somebody, and most likely you're not more than 3 feet away, maybe 4 feet at the most. So you've got this interaction between the two energies. So you come up and you meet somebody you haven't seen in a while, and you talk to them. You can kind of feel, how you're sort of like, did they ever really like me? You're starting to think about things. You're like, did they really like me? Are they really telling me the truth? Like, oh, is that interesting? He never told me about that before. And you kind of like have these like thoughts and ideas about the energy you're feeling from this person. Or maybe you haven't seen someone in a long time, and all of a sudden they're just like super, super happy, and they've always been grumpy. And you're like, wow, that was amazing. That felt so good. You feel good for them because you're feeling their energy. So we are exchanging energy all the time. And if you're really sensitive, and very empathic in a physical way, you're going to be picking up on their emotions as well and what they're really feeling. And that's why sometimes, people will be they'll be watching somebody speak to them, but the words they're saying don't feel right. It's because they know they're not truth. They know they're not really, they're not being truthful. That is feeling their energy. So we are feeling energy all the time. We're going to the grocery store, we're, paying our, we're going to the bank, we run into people, we go to our jobs, we're children, it's like people come, and then everybody comes home from their day, and you're surrounded with your family and you're exchanging energy. And if they've got this energetic backpack that's full of other people's junk, and they're just like kind of sharing it with you, and everybody's all mixing up again. So your inner being is obviously, your inner being's in control of whatever's going on with you, and whether that is something that you're in alignment with to take on. You're just holding it in your system. So when you have a mental thought about something, you have a thought, and then it goes into the emotional. It's like a sieve. You put flour in and you sift it. Yeah. It kind of goes into the emotional body, then it goes into the etheric body, and then the etheric body is a mirror of you. It's holding the energy of you. So it's like your life force, So if your life force, then it's connected to your physical being. So whatever your life force feels, you feel, basically. So if you're taking on other people's emotions, and you're amplifying by saying what you're feeling, you're going to hold that in your physical being, and you're going to start feeling it. You're going to feel crappy. You're going to feel, if you run into somebody and they're throwing that at you and you're not really clearing it or protecting yourself in some way, or not in alignment with it, you're going to take that on and you're going to just feel like crap at the end of the day. And you're going to be like, why? Or you're going to express it out to some other outside thing that's going on, and it has nothing to do with it or another person. So the scenario I usually give is this, and I'm just going to take a drink of water here. Hang on. Is this. If, say you are going for a job interview and you have a new outfit on, and you're, walking out the door, and you're, before you go out, you're struggling to find your keys, you got your bag, and you got the dog's trying to escape, and you're shutting the door, or, it's hot and sunny, you forgot your glasses, whatever. All this stuff's going on and you're feeling flustered, but you're like, okay, I'm going to be okay. You're like talking to yourself, I'm going to be okay. And you walk out the door and you trip and you rip your pants, and you know that you don't have time to get to the job interview, and if you change your clothes, you're just like, I gotta go. And the whole time you're saying to yourself, that's look at that as that scenario as the mental body. That's like, you're aware of what's happening. Something happened. I couldn't find everything. It was very frustrating. Like you're having mental thoughts about what's going on. I fell down. I hurt myself and my pants are ripped. Logical thinking. Then your emotional body kicks in and says, oh my God, I'm running late. I'm such an idiot. You know what? Everybody's always telling me what a clumsy person I am. I am such an idiot and I'm clumsy, and oh my gosh, I'm probably not getting this interview because they're going to look at me and think I'm stupid because they're going to see that I showed up with these bad pants. Like, I can't believe this. My father's always told me this, and my mother's always bitching at me about this and that, whatever. And it's always about the same thing. I can't seem to get my act together. What is wrong with me? Blip, 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 blip. It's like a little hamster, just keeps on going. And it sifts down into your etheric body, which is your physical body. So you're feeling this this emotions that are just not serving you. You've created an energetic signature of those emotions within your physical being. And then what happens is that manifests into chronic illness or some sort of illness or some sort of like crash or breakdown or whatever. Some of us can release, end up, it just depends. I mean, it can be released with crying. It could be released with somebody just giving you a hug. It might not be released until you go through 10 years of chronic illness. If you haven't, if you're still struggling figuring it out. It just depends on how heavy your backpack is, how heavy the bag is that you're carrying around for all the years and you haven't cleared it or loved it, acknowledged it, all that stuff. So that is the scenario that I usually give. And I think it makes a lot of sense, because that's what we do. We do something, it's very logical. You recognize you do it. That's your logical mind thinking. That's your mental body. This is what I did. Oh, this is how I feel about it. That doesn't feel good. And then you start using adjectives around how stupid you are about why that happened. Or like you hate that, or you're a victim, which no one's a victim. This is what you attracted to you. So then you hold it in your physical body because it goes into your pranic body, and it's your energy force. So you're holding that in. Now, if you're having a conversation with somebody, now that's just energy that you've created. That's just how the fields work, I guess. So that's my story about that's how a person would create that situation for them. But that's what we do. We hold, so say that happened to me in the morning, right? And I'm taking that around with me all day. I'm feeling the crappiness about it. And then I come in contact with someone I know, and they're either it doesn't matter if they're having a rough day, I'm going to feel better. If they're having a good day, I'm probably going to feel better. But we come in contact with their energy fields. So if they had something horrible happen to them as well, it might just amplify our emotions because we're feeling what they're feeling, because we are in alignment. When like attracts like, it's the law of attraction. You just can't get away from that. Like attracts like, it's the law of attraction. If you're drawing somebody to you after that kind of emotional experience and dialogue with yourself and the creation of the frequency that now you're carrying around with you, energetic frequency, which then like attracts like. So you're attracting people to you that are of that like frequency. And then you're going to feel, you're going to amplify your emotions around this and hold that more in. If you don't clear your energy, you may come in contact with somebody who is in a better mood because you drew that to you. You're in your inner dialogue after you had, this meltdown about how stupid you are and you're always clumsy and whatever. You have this sort of I'm okay. It's good. It was just an accident. You start having better self-talk. So your frequency raises, right? You start releasing some of this energy, the frequency raises, and you come across somebody, you attract to you a person who's in a good mood because you're starting to raise your frequency in that type of mood. Then they make you feel better. That's how it works. That's how it works. And so even if you're at the downest, I know some of you are thinking, even if I'm in the downest dumps, it was the worst thing in the world that ever happened. Even if your higher self is attracting people to you, that is, I guess I'm thinking of the worst case scenario, like a death, right? And you're having a really bad day, or you got a car crash and you're injured, for the rest of your life kind of thing. And you're just really, really down. There's really nothing there for you to feel like you can be happy or joyful in the moment or try to, pull out of your energetic slump. Your higher self and your guides will attract someone to you that you need for whatever learning you need to have. So even though I say like attracts like, if you're in a good mood, you usually attract good people. If you're in a bad mood and you're always complaining, you're usually probably attracting complainers. And then But sometimes when you're in, say, a really bad situation and you attract something to you that is of lighter and higher vibration, it's because your higher self directed that and your guides directed that to you for a learning experience. So that's kind of a different scenario. But the general every day, we're walking around, we're connecting with others, we're sharing fields. I know it kind of like feels a little, that's why people will say, I want to put the bubble around me. And the bubble sometimes works. I don't feel like it works all the time. And I think the only reason it works is because you have to really believe it, and you have to get your mindset out of attracting to you things that you don't want to attract to you. So if, the bubble's great if you have clear energy, your energy hygiene is top notch, you're clear, and you put the bubble around you. It can tend to then only attract to you what's inside the bubble. But if you're still holding fear, doubt, shame, whatever it is, you're going to attract fear, doubt, shame. You just are, and the bubble's not going to work. Another scenario a lot of people use when they come in contact with other people's energy is that they just sort of like don't do a bubble. They just try to allow it to pass through. But those are people who are really, really in tune and tapped into their physical being, and they know what energy is theirs and what's not. And we're going to talk about that in the next segment. So I just kind of want to wrap that up a little bit here. Let's see, we talked about the energy fields. We talked about why energy comes in, how it works, the mechanics of it, how it comes in and attaches into the physical being and then can create things. And I think that's all I want to talk about this one. I want to move on to talking about the why you would attract things to you, and some of the ways to recognize whether it's yours or someone else's, and why you would take on somebody else's. So we will just pause for now, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope to see you in the next episode. And I will post all the connecting episodes to this series on energy hygiene below this video and below this podcast link. And it would be the next one coming up. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Bye-bye.